The Joe Rogan Experience.
Well, how about the other
So
prince?
you got to go to again.
How about the other prince, the one that's Epstein's friend?
Oh, Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew. Yeah, that was.
What?
Yeah.
First of all, how odd is that
Yeah.
guy when they're interviewing him and talking to him?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
The Queen kicked him to the curb very quickly.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
What is your take on this whole Epstein thing? First of all, can we just agree? Look at that. So
Yeah.
you sure she's 18?
So you're telling me that, yeah.
She does not look 18. She looks 16. Are you sure? You sure?
Man, what a shit show that is.
Yeah, what a shit show. So let me ask you this right off the bat.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what I'm going to ask you. He didn't kill himself, right?
I don't believe so.
Thank you.
No.
There's
You know,
the
and you know
one
me,
peop-
I'm not a conspiracy guy, right?
Right.
I don't disappear down rabbit holes very often, but no, I don't think there's any way in hell he killed himself.
Michael Shermer, who's the head of Skeptics magazine, who doesn't believe anything, found out that the tapes were missing and that the cameras didn't work and that the tapes were accidentally deleted from the first time he
Yeah.
attempted suicide. And Shermer's like, oh, this is a conspiracy. Like, it was enough evidence that one of the biggest a professional skeptic.
Yeah.
Professional skeptic doesn't believe anything.
No. There's no way I could be convinced that he offed himself.
No way.
So and,
He knew too much.
Yeah. And you know, it's astounding, but yeah, what a shit show. But you know, nobody's going to get to the bottom of anything.
But that's a crazy one. Like, they got him in the jail. The guards are somehow or another getting in trouble, so who knows what the guards are going to say. They might get suicided. My favorite part was the guy they chose for his cellmate. Do you see the fucking gorilla they chose for his cellmate?
Yeah, it reminded me of that that old Richard Pryor movie. I don't know if you remember that one.
The guy, look at this fucking guy.
Yeah.
This giant Goomba, this huge Italian ex-cop who's a murderer and a drug runner. I mean, this guy is built like a brick shit house, and this is Epstein's cellmate.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like, you can't even make this stuff up. Like,
Says he never touched him.
Of course. Why would I touch him?
Nicholas Tartaglione.
Yeah. What does it say? Timeline of events in quadruple homicide? Is that what it says?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So this fucking guy, this giant...
He likes dogs, though.
Yeah, he loves dogs.
Yeah,
They keep him from all the people that he killed. They bark when they're coming around. You can grab your gun. It's a good move. It's just crazy. There's so many pieces to the puzzle that are so ridiculously obvious. And then when you find out that Clinton flew with him at least 26 times.
Yeah.
26 times.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Hey,
Yeah,
Jeff was a good guy.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those things. And again, I'm not a buyer on these sort of things, but you look at it, you look at the facts around, and you think there's no way in hell. Yeah. That guy must know you. You would have thought that Epstein would have said to himself, "I'm gonna get killed here if I'm not careful."
Well, he probably didn't think it was ever going to get to the point where they were actually jailing him. You know, when they
that's
actually
true.
got, because remember he had that deal where he was on work release, so he could just do whatever he wanted and fuck off for 16 hours a day. Then he had to check into the jail at night.
Yeah.
And who even knows what that means? He might have checked in and just went home again. And it seems like they had set something up for him to make it very easy for him to be incarcerated for what should be a pretty heinous crime. I mean, he was
You would think, yeah.
sex with underage girls,
Right.
and
Sex trafficking.
Yeah,
I mean, not
sex
just
trafficking.
him doing it. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it's just the extent to which, and so yeah. But then you look at I forget what her name is. His
Giselle?
assistant Giselle. Yeah,
what's his name? Ghislaine?
Ghislaine,
Ghislaine
something.
Maxwell.
How do you say it? What do you say?
It has an S in it, but I've heard it pronounced with the S or without. So Ghislaine or Ghislaine.
Okay.
I don't know.
Ghislaine or Ghislaine, whatever. G.
depends.
Let's
Yeah.
call her G Rocker.
Yeah.
So G Rocker's out there hiding in the bushes in Colombia or something, right?
Where is she? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean,
know.
she must be you would assume they've deposed her at this point, or you know.
She must have something. She must have some fucking kill switch where if the shit goes down, all the Clinton tapes come piling out onto the fucking floor of
somebody
Glenn
must have
Greenwald's
so-
house.
You would think. Oh, yeah, you brought it around to Glenn Greenwald.
Hey, Glenn, it's Bill. Can we talk?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I should convince. There she is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's when she was at In-N-Out reading a book on ex-CIA agents who have been murdered. That's literally what she was reading a book on, right? Wasn't that? Yeah. It was about CIA operatives and been murdered. So the idea was that what they said, what people believe, and there's many different versions of what people believe, but look how many pictures she posed for. It's so strange. But what many people believe was that what he was doing was compromising a lot of these wealthy, powerful people by getting videotapes of them hooking up with young girls, including Prince Andrew, right?
Yeah. And for whatever reason,
have you heard of anything like this before? Is this something that's been done in the past?
Not that I've heard of. I'm sure it's anytime you see some freak show, it's never the first time it's happened, right?
Right.
I mean, it's so you have to assume it's happened, but to the degree that it's got this level of celebrities and big time names,
It works so well. And I'm going to tell you something
crazy.
after the show's over.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
okay.
something after the show's over. But
you can just tell me it's just you and me talking. Yeah. If you whisper,
I hear you in my ears.
The North Koreans used to do
loud.
that. Sorry about the North Koreans used to. That was their phone security. Is they would get on the phone and when they had something really classified to talk
They'd
about,
whisper?
they would whisper. Yeah. So you're gonna think, oh, good.
That's hilarious.
We'll never figure that out.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Really? That's how they did it?
Yeah. Well, part of it was years ago. I think they just never believed any Westerner could understand Korean. I think that was kind of part of it, was that they just believed we were all too stupid, or we were just so complicated that we'd never be able to figure out what they were saying in their own language.
That's the price you pay for being so insulated,
Yeah,
right? You don't really understand what's really going on in the outside world because they don't really have the internet.
When was the last time we talked about North Korea?
It's been
Look at
quite a
that.
while.
We just pushed that right off the front.
But to get back, we can talk about North Korea. But to get back to this Epstein thing, is that a common strategy that intelligence agencies would use, where they would try to compromise people in order to get, like, what would be the benefit if you had, like, if the Mossad was doing that and they were doing that and using that's the theories that Epstein.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point. I'd say from an intel services perspective, I mean, one thing I will say is the U.S. And people are never going to believe this because I'm saying it. They'll say, "Oh, that's bullshit." But the U.S. The agency doesn't do that. We don't use honey traps. We don't do that sort of thing because that sort of leverage it's always going to head south on you. And so we don't, try to coerce somebody in that sort of a relationship that then we can take advantage of. And yet other services do. The Russians being one of them, they do that all the time. Israelis, they've had some very successful efforts to do that. And if you get somebody in that position, it doesn't matter how they're compromising themselves, whether you're putting themselves in with like an Epstein situation where suddenly you've got them, you got video of them with an underage person, or whether they've provided a document that they shouldn't provide. It's all this. The concept is always the same, right? It doesn't matter what that action is. You're getting them on the hook. You're getting something that's leverageable over them, and if they don't just go forward immediately, say, and turn around to their boss and say, "I'm guilty, did this, sorry," then they're compromised. And then you've got them. As an intel service, you've got them. You can start reeling the hook in because now, you know that not only did they do something that provided you with a document, even if it was an unclassified document. If I go to somebody, if I'm developing a relationship with somebody, some target overseas or whatever, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm exploring. This person's got access. They're in an interesting position. They're in an interesting job. And they've got access to information that we want to know, that's priority target. And then I want to say, okay, now I want to develop the relationship a little bit. Maybe I bump into the person at a few parties. Maybe we're in the same parent-teacher organization, whatever the shit is, right? And our kids play on the same soccer team. So then I go and I think, okay, what do I want to do? I want to test the waters a little bit. I'm not going to say, hey, listen, I understand you work at the foreign ministry here in whatever country you happen to be in. How about you give me some documents? But instead, maybe it's something different. Maybe they work at the foreign ministry. Maybe they work at a aerospace business. That's a target. And you say, but you've developed a bit of a relationship, and then you say, yeah, my kid's doing this school project, and it's all about whatever hypersonic flight, and that they work at some aerospace company, and say, do you have anything just on hypersonics, and you're not looking for anything classified, you're just looking for a research paper or a study or something, and if they come back and say, yeah, you know what, here, this is an interesting study, and they now, that act alone, they're not giving you something classified, but that act alone means something big, right? It means they were taskable in a sense, right? They responded to your request for information.
They're suckers.
not suckers necessarily. It could be an enormously smart person, but and smart people they get suckered into it. I guess you could put it that way. But so anyway, then you go from there. Then you ratchet it up slowly, bit by bit. If you've got the time frame to do it, maybe sometimes you got to shorten time frame because there's a requirement to get something, and you got to accelerate the whole process. Anyway, but point being is it's all leverageable, and Epstein was obviously getting leverage on all these different people for whatever his purpose was.
What do you think? That's what the question is. Like, what could he possibly? A lot of them were scientists. He went with a lot of like celebrities. There was heads of state.
I don't think he needed money.
Right. Well, what was he?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he just, who knows? Maybe he got off on sort of being the kingpin in this whole thing, it's a good question.
It had to be funded, right? So I mean, there had to be something valuable that they were getting from it. I'm guessing.
I don't know.
It hasn't been spelled out to me.
Yeah.
Like I've tried to figure out the angle, but I mean, I get the idea of you would have leverage over these people, you'd have them in compromising situations, and then they would do things for you. But what would they do for you?
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah. What is he getting Bill Clinton to do?
It's a good question. And providing him with access, maybe he liked being close to the seat of power, or maybe he liked being close to what he thought was like a royal family member. Maybe who knows? Because it sounds like he had all the money he needed.
Right.
So maybe it was that sort of access that blew his skirt up. I don't know, but it is interesting. But I don't think. I mean, look, it's just like been kicked to the curb. Obviously, they're doing the trial, I guess, to some degree, but I don't know where they stand.
Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen.
We've already swept it under the rug, and there's already news stories out that have got our attention. We forget about things so quickly today. The news cycle is so fast. When something happens, even something as ridiculous as the Epstein case, where it's so obvious that he was murdered, and then Michael Baden goes on 60 Minutes and says this is consistent with someone who was strangled. I've never, in all my years of seeing people hanged, I've never seen him with these kind of fractures. This is fractures are indicative of strangulation.
And that is one serious-minded dude too, right?
Michael
that guy,
Baden,
tremendous amount of experience, and he doesn't blow smoke up anybody's ass, right?
No.
He's very measured, and now obviously he was there on behalf of Epstein's brother, I guess. But anyway, it's one of those things where you think, maybe I'm going to put that down as something we should explore.
I want to go visit that cop in jail. See what he's probably got a fur-lined cell
Taglione?
now. Yeah, he's got a giant 72-inch TV.
Hey, all the dogs with him.
Yeah, all the dogs are there. What's happening here? He's got wire marks in his hands. Fucking tighten up on that. I mean, if you're going to get someone to strangle your cellmate, that's the guy, too. I mean, he'd fucking do it in 3 seconds. He's so big.
Yeah, you don't want somebody who's got to take their time because they can't exert enough pressure.
You want some Kevin Spacey dude strangling. It's going to take forever.
Hold still.
You want some big gorilla dude.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, I tell you what, if this new series I'm doing gets picked up for a second season, well, I'm going to recommend to the producers they put the Epstein case on there, even though it's not quite in line with what we do, but still. Yeah.